And that should be us. Gone live. Well, good evening, everybody. Many thanks to Steve, announcer, timekeeper, DJ, karaoke king.
What can I say?
Yeah, all of the above, plus probably a few more besides.
Yeah, one or two.
Good stuff. So a little bit more cheerful after last night's result.
Yeah, definitely. I think we're both a lot more cheery than we have been over the last few weeks.
Well, let's just take us back. Got obviously a lot to cover, but let's first of all go back to what was a bit of a disaster. But no apologies. Bit of a Berwick fan, Bandits fan. So I'm going to play a clip from Heat 8 against the Bears. The actual, obviously, the meeting itself, complete and utter disaster. Personally, I've got my own opinions about whether we should have even been racing with the full Bandits on the Friday night at Glasgow. You know, you see the some of the other teams this week have gone to meetings with like 4 or 5 National Development League riders, and that's okay. Plus, we've had last night, Heat 15, Plymouth only have one rider.
Yeah.
So it's these things. Anyway, I'm not going to go on about that because everybody says no. You couldn't have sent bullets to race as the Bandits at Glasgow. It had to be the full team. But I don't think that Gary Flint was terribly pleased about having to have that meeting just the day before. And of course, as I say, it did turn out to be a complete disaster against the Bears. Although I'm not knocking them for coming and doing a fine job. However, just to remind us, this is the one good moment from that meeting against the Bears. So hopefully
2 minutes is on for heat number 8 of this Knockout Cup meeting, and it's not been an easy night for the Bandits at all, and they're as you would say, oh my goodness, been an easy night.
Oh my goodness, it has been a tough night, a tough watch if you're a Berwick supporter. If you're a Red Car fan,
you'll be
sitting smug as
it gets.
Smug as a monarch. Which incidentally, it's looking like they're going to face in the next round.
Yeah. I mean, fair play to the Bears. They've came and they've done exactly what Berwick should have done. They came here and hit us hard and hit us early.
They maintained that they were coming here to win.
Yeah.
And they've done what they've set out to do. 12 points up on the night, 12 points up overall, like from the first leg.
Previous, yeah.
It's pretty much job done at the halfway point.
Barring a complete meltdown of epic proportions from the Bears. They're pretty much home and hosed at this point to go through to the next round. But heat number 8 coming up, and we're awaiting the arrival of Nathan Stoneman in the blue helmet. He goes off gate number 1. Here he comes now. Gate number 2. There've been a couple of good battles between these pair tonight. Jordan Jenkins in yellow. Gate number 3 in the red helmet, by a country mile, the most experienced man in this race, Theo Piper.
Yeah, absolutely.
And off the outside in the white helmet, that is Jason Edwards. This is a strong Bears pairing, the way that these two have been riding recently. And that of course was the reserve pairing at the start of the season, but Jason Edwards progressed into the main body of the team, and no real surprises there, the way he's been riding. But you have to feel, Nathan Stoneman's had a difficult night. He scored 1 point. Man, he's worked hard.
It does not reflect the effort the lads put in. And that's one thing we said at the time when he was signed, that he puts in a shift.
No shortage of effort.
No
shortage of effort whatsoever.
Not at all. But here we go, heat number 8. Revs.
I've just realised I've managed to clip the whole of the chat to the start of the actual race and not the race itself. I do apologise. I'm watching it and I'm thinking, when does the racing start? Okay, much better. We'll move on to this one because I've got this one lined up ready to go, and it's definitely the right bit. What on earth could I have done Where could I put it? See what happens is that when Graham sends me a video, it's too big for me to put on StreamYard. You have to use a certain size of clip. So I edit it down, and I've edited it down to part 1. And for some reason I've not got the
part 2.
I will get the part 2 because it is good. I mean, it's obviously we know the result of that one. It was the only 5-1. It was Jonas and Theo got the 5-1. And I think I'm right in saying, aren't I, that it was the following week. Who were we against when Jonas finally actually won 2 heats outright, 2 heat wins.
It was. It wasn't like, well, I don't think he did it. I missed the pool match because I was away that night. I missed the pool. I think it was after. I'm sure I was there the night he won his first race because Lawrence kept saying he's not won a race yet. He's not won a race yet. And then eventually, I'm sure I was there.
Yeah. Anyway, here we go. Here is from last night. And I'm sure everybody wants to watch this one. So we'll pop this one up. Here's a question for people in the audience, and bearing in mind that you can actually comment. If you're watching on YouTube, you can post a comment and it will come up. Let me just check on that, see what we've got comments-wise. Colin Tate, hi Colin. Yep.
Hey,
Go
Colin.
back to the video. Question. Leon Flint, first maximum. Chris Harris, 41st.
That's bonkers. Absolutely bonkers.
How many maximums in his career did the greatest bandit of all time, Mark Courtney, get?
Ooh, that's a very good question.
Yeah.
That's a very good question.
As you can imagine, I do know the answer to that. But I'll tell you straight after this race. I have to show you this one.
Revs going high, Star Marsh away, tapes rise. Who's made the best fist of it? Hans Anderson of gate 4, making an absolute ripper of a start. Lewis Kerr as well, making a fantastic start. And Chris Harris at the back, but not for long, as the Bomber Command comes charging through to get the better of his teammate. We're in for a treat here, James. Going straight for that dirt line. Chris Harris finding gaps that just don't exist. Full commitment, and is he going to get the better of? He's going for 2 in 1 corner.
Unbelievable!
Oh my lord above, Chris Harris! What are you doing to me?
Where did he find that from? He was caught up in all sorts of traffic there, and then he just seemed to find a gap that just wasn't there. And how many times have we said that this season? He got past Hans Anderson, he got past Louis Kerr, and he's going to set off into the sunset once again. Chris Harris, unbelievable!
Yeah, Chris Harris, full commitment, just absolutely class personified, streets ahead of everybody else in this one. The crowd on the grandstand get to their feet. Chris Harris just does not know when he's beaten, James.
He doesn't know when he's beat. I thought I jinxed him, but luckily he came through and proved me right. And
as I said,
absolutely phenomenal.
He's just making
Harris.
it boring when he makes the start, and he didn't make the start there. And it has to be said, Chris Harris entertaining the masses at Shieldfield tonight. Brilliant stuff from him. And really, as soon as he got past his teammate, you knew that Louis Kerr was in trouble. I didn't expect him to do 2 gladiators in 1 corner.
Oh, brilliant stuff from Chris Harris, and quite rightly, brilliant. What is brilliant to see a couple of Gladiators fans on their feet and showing their appreciation for a phenomenal race from Chris Harris.
Well, that was pretty good, wasn't it? Yeah.
I'm sitting shaking my head again. I put it on Facebook before. I just sat and shook my head at that, much to the amusement of the referee, Cy Humphrey Kennett. He just sat and laughed at me because I just sat shaking my head. Just said that is absolutely ridiculous.
Yep.
Unbelievable.
Actually, just going back to that little clip of the Red Car Bears meeting that I got wrong. We have a lot of cliches and euphemisms, but I think Marty used one there as smug as a monarch. Is that an actual term?
I think it has to be. In Speedway circles, it has to be. It has to be. As smug as a monarch, it's great.
Now then, obviously great for Chris, who had the disappointment in the British final of the meeting not finishing. And it occurred to me that in the commentary leading up to Heat 12, they said that if we get to Heat 12, then a result can be declared. Yeah. But clearly, they couldn't call a result, could they? Because not everybody had met one another. 3 riders all on 8 points. How could you possibly conclude, apart from tossing a coin?
Yeah, you couldn't, because there was nothing to gauge them against each other, because obviously they hadn't met. So, and for me, I've had this conversation last night, and you couldn't bring it down to heat times either.
No,
because I know that was mentioned in the commentary as well. I know Kelvin and Jason Crump had mentioned that, but you couldn't really, because as the rain came, the track deteriorated. So, and then especially the likes of Bomber, who had, especially in the first race, had come from the back.
Yeah.
And then obviously passed him. Yeah, fair enough. If he gated and gone, and that was him. But he didn't. So you couldn't bring it down to that. There was no other. I think, for me, very probably controversial. I think that was the only thing that they could do, really, because at the end of the day, they couldn't declare a result because there wasn't the count back or anything to go on.
Yes.
So if they're not declaring a result, then Adam Ellis is still British champion. Yes, he had a poor night. Yes, he only scored a couple of points, but he's still British champion. So I think that was the only way it could go. It was the only solution that really they could come up with, whether we like it or not.
Yeah. I mean, obviously you could go by the fact that, when it comes to both Premiership and Championship averages, you could say, well, Chris Harris is the top average rider in British rider in both leagues. He's well ahead of everybody else. And yes, it would have been great to have seen him there. And there was also this sort of conspiracy theory that because one of the organisers is a Sheffield promoter, that it was done to allow a Sheffield rider to, Adam Ellis to go through. I suppose it's one of those things that probably isn't true, but it's very difficult to disprove. Do you know what I mean? It is. If people want to draw that conclusion, they'll draw it, and you're not going to be able to shift them.
I think you're always going to have that. It doesn't matter if it's Sheffield, doesn't matter if it's Berwick, Glasgow, whoever it might be. I think you're always going to get that because there's always going to be somebody involved with that kind of decision making that has an allegiance to a particular club.
Yeah.
So I think, if Flinty'd been involved with it, then he would have, and Bomb had got the call. Yeah. Then you know what I mean. It's
exactly. Yeah.
I think the organisers were caught between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah.
It didn't matter. Damned if they did, damned if they didn't. And I think that was probably the only solution they could really come up with, was what they did, whether we like it and whether we agree with it or not. And Bomber was very magnanimous and he didn't say a lot. And it's right what he said, that he can't make too much comment because there are restrictions on what you can and can't say with social media. And I me personally, being a licensed official, I'm the same. I couldn't put any kind of a comment on Facebook or Twitter because I can be censored as well. So I'm subject to drink and drugs test the same as Ben Barker is, when you're a licensed official. So you can't make too many comments. So it was very good in what he said, but you could tell he wasn't happy from the TV footage. He's at the door of the media room, So I think we all saw that. But at the end of the day, Paul, it is what it is. And they had to come to some kind of decision,
Yeah, okay, though. I'm just making a little note of something I wanted to ask you later. In answer to the question, nobody's come up with the answer. 68.
68. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I thought that was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, in some seasons he was scoring 18 and 19 maximums. And just for the fun of it, I looked up the career of Jason Crump because I thought that for the British final, we've got a little bit of a thing going in the chat about the commentators, obviously, because we've got two of the we've got the Shouty brothers here at Berwick, who I think do a fantastic job, and dare I say it, Sam Ermolenko, being American, great rider though he is, sometimes he goes off on a bit of a tangent, and it's not, you're not quite sure where he's going.
He's not my cup of tea. The great rider that he was,
yeah.
He's not my cup of tea on commentary, I'm afraid.
Whereas Jason Crump, I thought was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
Have a guess. I think I've totaled how many maximums he's scored in his career.
Jeez.
And it's 170. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it when I saw that. But even
insane.
Yeah, I think even somebody like Mark Laram, I think I totaled his up, and he was within a few of Mark Courtney.
Right. It just goes to show what a rider Mark actually was. As you know, he's probably my all-time favourite rider, certainly my all-time favourite bandit. But, geez, that was... He had a pretty stellar career without pulling a massive amount of trees up, really.
Yeah. He was second in the... he won the British Junior Championship, the one that Leon Flint won. He won the equivalent to that in 1980.
1980,
Yeah, 2 years later in 82, he actually came second behind Kasper, somebody or other from the Czech Republic. The meeting was in Czech Republic, but he actually beat in a runoff for second place Peter Orn.
Wow,
who was a obviously he's I think now he's an engine tuner, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Yeah. Peter Orn's an engine tuner. Yeah.
I remember at one time he held a string of track records all over the place. But yeah, I mean,
he was a very good summer rider for Bellevue. I remember back in the 80s.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, that's where I remember.
I remember him at Coventry as well.
Yeah.
But yes, I was watching some old DVDs of the history of Berwick and some of the meetings like we had in '91 and stuff like that. Anyway, so yeah, Chris Bomber. I got a little hint earlier on in the week that somebody had put a comment to his tweet about, as you say, not being able to say anything, and there are rules. And somebody had put a comment about, I hope that you'll not be hanging up your leathers just yet, and Chris replied with, well, I need to take a few days to think about things. Whereas last night, I'm sure I got the hint that he was, about coming back to Berwick. I can't imagine there is another track in the country that Bomber, if he's going to ride next year, if he's going to carry on,
I think he will.
And why wouldn't he?
Yeah.
What better playground does he have than Shielfield Park? It must be his all-time favourite track.
It's got to be the way he goes round Shielfield. Jeez, I mean, even as a visiting rider in the past, not that he's been a visiting rider a massive amount in the past, but as a visiting rider, he's always ridden it well. Was obviously a previous track record holder. Yeah. But if you look at his performances this season, it's just been absolutely ridiculous what he's been doing. And what I really noticed last night, and obviously Leon got his maximum as well, which was absolutely brilliant. But I noticed that Leon seems to be learning a lot from Bomber in
absolutely
the lines that he's riding. I don't know if you could see it from your vantage point. Certainly, you can see it from the ref's box. Some of the lines he was taking, it was very, very Bomber-esque, if you like.
Yes.
And it can only bring Leon on. And I think that Leon's form, where obviously it's down to him and his equipment and everything that he does. Yes. But I think Bomber has a part in that as well. And he's bringing him along with him, because Leon gives me the impression, obviously I've known Leon since he was little, and he gives me the impression that he will listen. And he's listening to Bomber and he's taken those lines, and you could certainly see it last night. Some of those wide lines he was taking, and that's bringing him on, and that can only be good for him if he's learning from somebody like Chris Harris. You know, it can only be good for his career.
Yep. And also credit where credit's due. What a great guest Jordan Jenkins was.
Oh, how good was he, by the way? I said at the start of the meeting to Lawrence and Dennis that I thought he was a very good choice, because the times I've seen him around Sheffield, I thought he's looked very, very good. He's looked good for Redcar this season. I thought he was a good guest, and boy, did he come through with that prediction. He was excellent. And his pass on Hans Andersen, geez.
Well, I was watching that. And I'm thinking, this Jenkins, he's going a lot quicker than Hans Andersen. Yes, he's got past. Good on you. And also, I don't know if you noticed in a few of the photographs of the riders getting the bumps, Jordan is there with the rest of the Berwick team, giving the bumps, you know, clearly bought into the, you know, I think they're the same at Redcar, very much a team spirit that they've got there. And we've got the same here at Berwick. Yeah,
I think they are. I think he's in a club in Redcar that's very, very similar, I think, to Berwick, and I think he fitted in very, very well with that whole team ethos. And as you say, I saw it on the photos as well, and I noticed that a lot of guest riders wouldn't bother. They'd be way out the way. They're not bandits, you know. Yeah. But he was there and he was involved. And you know what? You always wonder with guests how they're going to perform, and you know, it's not their club. Are they really bothered? But I tell you what, he got stuck in and he wanted it in every single race. And hats off to him. He was fantastic. And he was rider in the box. He was the referee's rider of the meeting. By a mile. Yeah.
Again, wee bit nostalgia, and I am totally biased about this. But for me, I would say the best guest I've ever seen at Sheffield. I wasn't there to see Michael Palmtoft score. I think it was an 18 maximum down at Rye House a few years back.
Oh yeah, that was
but round Sheffield, the best guest I think I've ever seen, Paul Thorpe.
Yeah.
He was. I remember him come. He only did the 4 rides. He got a paid maximum, and he was only riding at number 2. But that was towards the end of his career when Hull were going really well, and I've always thought, that's great that the guest comes out and does that sort of effort, and Jordan certainly was on a par with.
Without a doubt, yeah.
Unfortunately, we have to show this particular clip because it did happen, and we obviously wish Nathan a very speedy recovery. I was gutted. I had actually videoed the end of Heat 1 because I could tell the way Chris Harris was riding, he was going after the track record, and he got 1.2 seconds. Yeah. And hindsight's a great thing. Where I was watching, I had the perfect view of that bike going hurtling towards the third bend, and I can only hope that Kenny and Norman have managed to find clean underwear.
I certainly hope so.
Just see the riders still digging around, trying to find that sweet spot again.
You know, all these little delays and things like that all eats into the curfew on a night where there's a double header and times of the essence a little bit. But
it certainly does. But it looks like the lads are about to settle down in E2. And starter Marshal Andrew Blair getting them under orders. Rev's about to go high. Green light on. Tapes rise. Who's made a bit? Jordan Jenkins from gate 1, making an absolute rip snot and start. And there's Nathan Stoneman pretty much caught up on Harry McGurk already. Yep. Oh my lord!
No concern here for Nathan Stoneman. I'm unsure what happened there. Did he just seem to pick up a little bit of grip as he was switching from inside to outside and clipped the back end?
Yeah, switching lines going into that fast turn 3 and clipping Harry McGurk's back wheel as he entered turn 3, and just really the bike just rocketing into the foam fence, and God, it got some air going over that safety fence.
Big time. It was an
the fans up on turn 3, I think they were a bit alarmed that the bike was going to catapult further. That was a massive off for Nathan there.
The only plus side, if you like, is that he was completely independent of the bike at the time.
I think that was his biggest thing. He tried to get away from the machine so they could maybe
biggest blessing, as it were. But
but
God, didn't have to rocket off with him once it picked up. That was all she wrote.
How many times do we hear riders saying that when the bike takes off like that you're purely a passenger and that you're struggling to get off the machine, and
that's the one saving grace. But he certainly went barreling into. That was just shaping up to be quite an interesting race. You fancied that
he made up the ground massively.
Very, very quickly he made up the ground on Harry McGurk, and he was on a mission there. And
wow. Scary
stuff. It doesn't get any less scary 24 hours later, does it?
No, it doesn't. I mean, is there an argument? And I'll put it for example. There are certain riders who never ever get injured. I mean, at top class level, Greg Hancock, very rarely out injured by avoiding the situations.
Yeah.
I mean, dare I say it, Ricky Wells, fantastic. If he's out in front, he just goes for it. But if he's not, he doesn't take any risks because he knows that something bad might happen. Maybe Nathan could have just eased off. He'd made up the ground. He's got another 3.5 laps. He could have easily, I reckon, have got past. But the racer in him just took over.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think the racer in him took over. It's good watching that back again because initially when seeing it live, I thought, and Harry McGurk did lift off, and you can see him sort of go more upright on the bike. But that was quite a bit before. Now I'm seeing it again. That was quite a bit before Nathan actually clipped his back wheel. And I think it's right what the old cliche is: the throttle works both ways. If Nathan had backed off a bit, he'd already caught him. He was quite easily, I think, going to go around him at some point. He didn't need to go round him at that point on the third bend of the first lap. So, but it was certainly scary stuff, and how it literally, it just arrowed and just went, and it was just, it was scary stuff. Scary.
Well, I presume as his front wheel hit McGurk's back wheel, because his back wheel was going round like that.
Yeah.
As soon as his tyre hit, it just
Yeah, I think it looks like that, doesn't it? It just, as soon as he's hit Harry's back tyre, and obviously the momentum of Harry's back wheel, it's just launched. It's acted like a launch pad and just launched the bike up. And Nathan did well, to be fair to him, to let go.
Yes.
And it's right what the lad said in commentary. That was the best thing that could have happened, is he let go of the bike let it go, and he hit the fence. But he hit the fence at some clout. How he actually walked away from that. Jeez, it's crazy. You've seen a lot worse injuries with a lot more innocuous falls than that.
Well, the worst I've seen there, apart from obviously Matt Weathers, was many years ago when Scott Smith was trying to go past Richard Jewell, and he just slid into the boards, but his handlebar had gone through the mouth part of his
helmet,
and it smashed his jaw, and he'd broken jaw and blood everywhere. Anyway, it's a dangerous sport, and these things happen. But as you say, sometimes the most innocuous ones, they're far worse. That one,
usually it involves Jai when Graham Hunter is referee. So I'm going to get that one in case Graham's listening and watching tonight. So it was funny in the Oxford meeting. I was standing shouting and swearing, let's say, at my phone watching the BSN coverage. That bloody Graham Hunter. And then about 2 minutes later, the phone lights up. It's Graham Hunter's messaging me saying, I might have known this was going to happen. I'm a jinx to him. I swear I have. It's about 4 times, I think, Graham's been referee and Jai gets injured. So he's officially banned. I've banned him now. So
Excellent. Yeah, they have to do something to these referees, the 4-eyed wonders that they are.
Yeah.
So hopefully, Nathan won't be out for too long. I know that obviously we're looking forward to Wednesday. I'm going to be going down to Birmingham. I've got to go down. Well, I've got to go south for a wedding. I'm not going to get to Cardiff, but I'm going to go to Birmingham because I was there when it was abandoned after just 2 races.
The original ones.
When Josh
Hawty. Got any kind of recompense for that, or?
Yes. If I had kept the ticket, I would have got £2 off admission price to the rerun or to any meeting. That's what you get. You get £2 off. So, listen, I'd rather Birmingham keep the money, and I'd rather pay again because they've announced their intention to run next year, and that's really
I saw that. Yeah, it's a good thing. Yeah.
Definitely. In fact, I tell you, when Dick Barry mentioned that Rob Grant Senior and Junior were at Berwick last night, I actually had a wee chat with Rob Grant Jr. And I actually said to him, if at any point you want to come on and have a chat, on the show, you're more than welcome. And he said, "No, I'm not doing anything like that." Yeah. He's obviously still, it's still very raw for him. But I was just telling him that, when it comes to Berwick, they managed in between 1970 and 1991, in 21 years, they reached 9 cup finals.
Cup finals, yeah.
But only one, 8 in the knockout cup, 1 in the Gold Cup. But they only won 2 of those, 1980, 1989 in the Gold Cup. Common denominator, Rob Grant Senior.
Rob Grant Senior, yeah. He was part of the winning sides. Yeah, he was.
And just a fearsome character on the track.
Yeah, fearsome competitor, and I watched Granty a lot, and there's Graham's got some quite good footage on YouTube as well of some of the practice sessions when one of Granty's engines blew. I don't know if you've seen that one, and you can hear the reaction, let's say, from underneath the helmet.
I mean, he was Rob Grant Senior, not the most stylish rider in the world.
Oh God, no.
He was, for me, the most stylish. I would say the 2, Mark Courtney, Jimmy Nielsen.
Yeah,
it looked effortless to them.
Yeah, both of them. Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt, and Mark especially. He had such what they call an armchair style, and he was so stylish. Granty was the complete other end of the scale. But did he put the fear of God up his opponents? Oh my God, yes. Some of the tussles, I remember some of the tussles with him and the likes of Brett Saunders and Eric Monaghan and people like that, and Krabby, and some of the stories are legendary. I'm sure was it Krabby or was it Eric Monaghan? He put on the centre green with his elbows one night.
Yes,
it was one of the 2. I can't remember which one it was. I'm sure it was Nigel Crabtree. And Nigel Crabtree ended up with the centre green. And some of the tussles with Brett Saunders were brilliant, absolutely legendary. That's what we don't have enough of nowadays. We don't have that nowadays, do we?
I mean, yeah, exactly. I was watching some videos of the beginning of 2005 when Phil Morris was riding for Newcastle, and I do apologise, Phil Morris. You're probably a really nice fella, but as an opposition rider, I hated you more than any other rider, and the fact that you get excluded against Michael Makowski. and you're ranting and raving, telling him, going over to the pits to say to Makowski, you don't turn, turn left or right or whatever it was he was saying. Yeah, you don't turn left down the straight. Well, Speedway, you're always turning left. What you don't do, Phil Morris, is turn right, which is what you were trying to do.
Michael was another one as well in the Granty mode of riding, but you couldn't with Michael. You couldn't wish to meet a more quiet and reserved and lovely guy off the track, but on the track, geez, it was like a switch when Michael, got on his bike and put his helmet on. Yeah. He was very much in the Granty mode, and that's one of the last that type of rider that we had at Berwick. Really, would be Michael.
Yes, yeah. And longevity, of course, because Rob Grant, I remember him coming out of retirement and riding for us at, I think it was Hull and a few other meetings when he was in his early 40s.
Mm. Yeah,
and just doing it to help the club out.
Yeah. Well, that's the type of guy he was. I mean, he was the ultimate captain, wasn't he? And that was obviously he's lifted the trophy twice. The KO Cup, and then so he's the ultimate captain. Really, and never the most stylish, never the biggest point scorer, but I tell you what, you knew what you were going to get with him, didn't you? You knew what you were getting.
And also, again, just a little bit more nostalgia. And I know that the rest of the guys in the chat that I'm with, the Shady brothers and Graham and Greg, we all loved Moggo.
Yeah. I didn't see a lot of Moggo because I wasn't going a great deal. I was doing obviously a lot more of my own thing at the time, and
sure,
DJing and karaoke and stuff. So I didn't see a lot of him in Berwick colours. I remember him riding for the likes of Ipswich and Hackney back in the day, back in the 80s, and obviously then he eventually came to Berwick, and I've seen a lot of clips of him and stuff, but I don't know whether I ever actually saw him in the flesh as a bandit. I don't think I did.
Wow. No, I've got that book, 7 Men for a Season, the story of the 88 Hackney team, and there's that interesting bit whereby in one meeting, Alan Mogridge actually phoned the referee after the opposition rider had been excluded and said, well, it wasn't his fault. It wasn't the opposition rider's fault. Yeah. And it's that kind of sportsmanship, again, the next year, Steve Schofield is riding for Hackney. Berwick go there. And I remember Mark Courtney getting the loan of Steve Schofield's bike, the opposition rider lending a bike to the opponent number one.
It's funny, actually. We were talking about that last night in the box because we got word from the pits that Casper Anderson had run out of bikes.
Yeah.
So obviously he had his crash on bend one, and basically obviously that bike was totaled, and I said to Si, I says, what's happened to the days when people used to lend people bikes? And I said, I'm not just talking about teammates. I'm talking about opposition riders as well. That used to happen. And he was even saying, he says, that's long gone. So it's funny you should mention that because it's something that we talked about last night because I think it was just before Heat 15 when they decided only to put one rider out. And then we said, what about Casper? Because Si had said when they flew through from the pits, what about Casper Anderson? And they said, well, he's run out of bikes. Mm-hmm. And we're like, he's run out of bikes, right? Okay, so could somebody not lend him a bike so at least they might get something out of it? And it was like, no, not happening. So gone are those days as well.
Yeah, gee whiz. Talking about Casper, he turns up in his Berwick t-shirt and Berwick jacket.
Oh, did he?
Right, he's riding for Plymouth. Well, yeah, I got a selfie with him because I said because I've got a Casper Anderson hat that I'm not allowed to wear at the meetings, but to hell with that. I mean, what he did for us last year was absolutely fantastic. It was, wasn't it? You don't just start disliking a rider because he rides for the opposition.
For somebody else, yeah.
Yeah, so I thought that was very interesting. What's Casper trying to say? Get me back in next year.
I tell you what, a lot of fans would have him back. A lot of fans want him back. Me included as well. I'd like to have seen him back on a very attractive average, and the job that he did, and he rides Schofield really well. So it's funny. Somebody said to me, I went to a 21st after I left the meeting last night, and up at the Jubilee. And speaking to a couple of lads behind the bar who are Speedway fans, and we were talking about the meeting, etc. And one of them said, "Would you have Danny back?"
Oh yeah.
And it said, "Oh no, for the home form, yes, but for his away form, absolutely not." But I think the problem, I know Plymouth had wanted him, I think, this season, but I think it's all to do with the visa and Brexit and stuff, and hence the reason why Danny's still back in Austria. But So he could, he might be a shout for next year.
Well, I'll give you two other names for possible that I've thought of for next year, and one or two people have said no, that ain't going to happen. But obviously, Fernando Coti Garcia.
Yeah, Cotis, yeah, of course.
Yeah, and also he's just started to really up his scoring. Lee Complin.
Yeah, he seems to be going a little bit better, certainly National League level. I think, to be honest with Lee, with 10 years out, so long out, that coming back to Championship was always going to be a tall order, especially in a struggling side like the Diamonds were on a crack like Brough.
Yeah.
But obviously he's riding Armadale, but he seems to be getting a few more points and getting a bit of confidence and getting a bit more time on the bike. So, you know what? He could be a shout as well.
Well, last week I'm sure he got 9-1 guesting for Birmingham at Poole.
Right, that's a good score down at Poole. So
yeah. Then in the National Development League they went to Oxford and he was riding for whoever it was that was the Armadale Devils, and he only scored like 5, but they got hammered. But again, we're back to our friend Mr. Jenkins, who scored something like 17, and Stoneman that scored like 12, and round Oxford, it was always going to be tricky.
I'd take Jordan Jenkins after last night's performance.
I don't think Redcar are going to let him go in a hurry, are they?
No, you wouldn't have thought so.
I think they'll be pretty keen to keep hold of him. Oh, you're back now. Good, excellent. We just had a little delay there. Moving on to the bullets. Oh, sorry. First of all, momentum. Plymouth. You've got to feel sorry for them. Much though Berwick were absolutely excellent last night, and they can only do what they do against the opposition they're presented. You had to feel a little bit sorry for Plymouth. I mean, the disaster struck even before Heat 1 when Lewis Kerr bike packs up and gets excluded.
Yeah, I mean, Louis Kerr's always been decent around Shielfield, so you thought, good guess for them, definitely. But I think you've got to look at, as we touched on a bit earlier, I think you've got to look at the injuries to Hans Andersen, and especially Michael Palm-Toft, because Tofty always goes well around Berwick, and he's a rider that I would like to see in Berwick colour. I would like to have, and probably still would like to see him in Berwick colours. And I think that took its toll massively for Plymouth, because that's the main engine room of their side, and run rider replacement as well. And they could all take a ride. That I think killed them. That absolutely killed them.
Yeah,
but try what you say though, Paul. You've got to beat what's in front of you.
Yeah, and the Ben Barker situation. I mean, the fans are absolutely lovely. I was chatting to them about them, and they're still none the wiser as to what's happening with Ben Barker. If worst case scenario, he could be banned for quite a while, apparently.
Yeah, I think you can't really comment too much until the outcome of it all. Sometimes it seems like it's a bit guilty until proven innocent. Yes. I'd like to look at it the other way around. Ben's a rider I like to watch. And I think you've just really got to wait and see exactly what transpires with the whole situation. Hopefully he's proved innocent and he can obviously get back on his bike, because at the end of the day, he puts bums on seats. He's like Chris Harris. He's that same type of rider, and I'd like to see him back on his bike. If he's done wrong, I'm sure he'll take his punishment, but I wouldn't like to say we don't know the ins and outs of it. So we'll wait and see. But again, if Ben had been on that side last night, I think it could have been a different result.
Yeah, I think a different score. I think when you've got Leon Flint, who is either third or fourth in our averages, goes to Plymouth, and as you were saying, Plymouth, some of the Plymouth fans suggesting, that, why have we got, Leon Flint as our number one? Well, you saw perfectly well. And as a Plymouth fan, I would be pretty terrified of coming to Berwick, knowing that our top rider at Edinburgh, a track that doesn't suit the Berwick riders, is going to be up against us tomorrow night.
Did he score more points at Edinburgh than Edward Kennett would have scored? Absolutely. So I think he made a big difference to them up there, and he made a big difference to us last night. And I don't, if Edward Kennett had been riding, if Ben Barker had been riding, if Hans Andersen had been fit, if Michael Palm-Toft had been fit, would the result have been different? I don't think it would. The scoreline might have been, as you said, but I don't think the result would have been any different because of the way that our top two went, and obviously the guest reserve that we had as well. So, and that was, bear in mind, we lost Nathan Stallman in Heat 2.
Yes.
So we were down to 6 riders. Yeah. So, hats off to all the lads. Everybody came to the party last night for the Bandits. And I don't think it mattered what any of the Plymouth riders did. I think they caught Berwick on a very, very good night for the home side, and they just steamrolled them basically.
Yes, moving on very quickly, as we did last night, to the bullets. Maximums for Greg, Luke, and Kyle. I mean, that really was. I mean, if Berwick really hammered, if the Bandits absolutely put the gladiators to the sword, and that's sometimes the Romans, they do win against the gladiators, unlike in the film. I will have my vengeance either in this life or the next.
But you got it in this life last night.
Yeah, but no, I mean, the Bullets, very, very ruthless. Excellent racing. I'll tell you what, one or two of the races were actually not between Berwick and Plymouth, but between Berwick and Berwick.
Yeah, they were, weren't they?
There was a few there where
we were quite a bit sitting in the box watching the Bullets riders go at each other. Especially I think Ace and Cal Bickley. They were properly racing each other. What a performance, though. I mean, from 1 to 7, absolutely brilliant. Kieran coming back from injury looked really, really good. I thought Mason, happy birthday, Mason, by the way. I thought he was excellent at number 3. But, Greg and Crangy looked really, really good. And but Ace got the quickest time of that.
Oh, yes.
He had the quickest time. Kyle obviously just did what a number 1 should do. But I think they were excellent. Ben Rathbone impressed me again once again as well. I thought he was brilliant. He's come on leaps and bounds this season. So now, brilliant performance. And again, we're talking about you've got to beat what's put in front of you. It was difficult. The lad Andrews wasn't there. They had to have Harry McGurk at number 1, who did pretty well. I thought Sam McGurk was excellent. He was really, really good for the points he scored. And even the 2 reserves, to be fair to them, they got better as the meeting went on. But again, in that, the Bullets were in that kind of mood. You were never going to do anything against them, were you?
I mean, I was watching the Plymouth reserves as much as I was watching the racing going on. Obviously, they were a lot of the time they were like half a lap almost behind, but technically very good. I was watching likes of that Adam Extance.
Adam Extance,
yeah, and I mean, technically he was the one that was able to consistently on the third bend put his wheel on the dirt line. Absolutely perfectly, following that dirt line round. Whereas, of course, you watch most people around Berwick, they don't bother with the dirt line coming into the third bend, do they? It's as they swing up to the banking.
They go out wider. Yeah. But it was a great meeting for the Bullets. Fantastic meeting for the Bullets. And to be fair, I think if you look at what everybody did to get that meeting through, because bear in mind that meeting didn't start until 8:45. So I think hats off to everybody involved, the track staff, the riders, the referee, the team managers, everybody, in pushing that meeting through. And if you notice, we didn't do any grades at all.
Yeah. No.
We just had to just keep pushing it. And it was frantic in that ref's box, absolutely frantic. Yes. But we were all knackered when it was finished. We got it through and got the 15 heats in, and which was absolutely brilliant. And the P and punters didn't get shortchanged by only getting 10 heats.
That's right.
Which was great.
Yeah. Well, I mean, chatting with in the group chat with Greg Blair, he was saying that he didn't feel comfortable on the bike at all. B, that it was very rushed. Well, I think in fairness to Greg, I think he's still, after that big off against.
Was it Leicester? Was it against Leicester? Yes, yeah, it was against Leicester.
I think he's still. I think he's very, very badly bruised and battered from that. So I think he's still feeling the effects of that one. Mm-hmm. But he went out and got a maximum. But he did talk about the fact that it was such a rush. It was no track grading, as you said. So there was no time to catch your breath. But they did it, and often with the juniors, it is a case sometimes of they need that more time to get the equipment all sorted and ready. And
we just didn't have that luxury last night. We just didn't have it. We wanted to try and get it through, right through to a conclusion to 15 heats. Yeah, we could have canned it at 10 heats and taken the time, done the grades and canned it at 10 heats. But you're shortchanging the riders, you're shortchanging the paying public. So it was, right, let's just try and push this on and get it through. And you wouldn't believe how much effort it takes right the way across the board. It doesn't matter if the riders, say the team managers, the track staff, say the referee, us guys in the box. It's just, and Dick Barry, we had to keep cutting Dick off because it's like, Dick, shut up. We need to get this done, It was even the same in the Fix meeting. It's like we're trying to. Dennis obviously did the Bullets meeting, and I did the Bandits meeting. And you just try to talk over the top of him to get the announcements done that you need to get done, and the official stuff that the referee wants you to do.
Yeah,
because you are at the referee's beck and call when you're sitting next to him, and say, "Can you shout for the clerk of the course to phone me?" So you have to do that, and then you've got people messaging you, saying, "Can you do this birthday shout?" And people knocking on the door of the box. "Can you do this birthday shout? Can you shout this out? We've lost a phone." Jeez, it's just bonkers.
Yeah.
You wouldn't believe it. It's frantic.
Yeah. And Dick, fair play to him. He does a fantastic job, and he has been doing so for as long as I can remember. He's just an iconic presenter, isn't he? And he just loves winding up the opposition. One of my big interests is the Netflix is Making a Murderer,
right?
Wrongful conviction, and he actually referred to basically his terminology was to describe what Louis Kerr had done with having to go off 15 meters as a crime, and I'm thinking it's not a crime, it's an offence. There's a big difference between a crime and an offence, but milking it for every little bit that he can get out of it,
that's what he does. So, that's what he does. That's I think the key to a good presenter is picking up on just those silly little things like that, and he does my nutting sometimes, Dick, and he knows that he does my nutting, and I think he does it to wind me up, and he does it to wind Dennis up as well. But we all work as a good team. But when it's like that, you've got to start talking over the top of him and say, "Dick, shut up. We need to do this." But you know what? Last night we got it through, and hats off to the riders, hats off to the guys in the pits and the mechanics and everybody, and the track staff, and we got it through in the end. Yeah, were we a little bit over curfew? Yeah, we were, but we kept it going. And bear in mind, the referee was travelling home last night as well. So he jumped in his car outside and drove home. So, and he's still alive. He made it home because he's put a couple of comments on a couple of things I put on Facebook today. So I know he's home all right, which is good. So it was a long and stressful night, but we got there.
Good. Talking about a bit of stress, our commentators, James and Marty, they've been thrust in at the deep end this season doing this commentary, and of course at the moment all we get is the odd heat from each meeting that gets put out, but they're actually commentating, like they commentated on every single heat last night. And it just bugs me and irks me a little bit, and I know that that they don't let it bother them, but it irks me a little bit that people have there was one comment about the Chris Harris race, great race, shame about the commentary again.
And it does my head in. Absolutely does my head in. It's the same in what I do as well, whether I'm on the green if Dick's not there, or whether I'm in the box, or it doesn't matter what I'm doing. And we do, especially with doing this stuff, because when I'm out doing a karaoke or doing a disco, whatever, I'm normally getting paid for it, so that's fine. But with this, we're doing it for the love of it.
Yeah,
and that's what bugs me as well. And I hate to see anybody getting knocked for doing what they're doing, and even guys doing this kind of stuff like yourself. That if you want to have it's fine. But if you want to have a go, you're more than welcome.
Yeah,
to come and do it.
They never will.
That's always my argument, and I know James and I have spoken at length about that kind of thing, and he's the same opinion as me. He does it for the love of it, and if you want to have a go at it, come and have a go. Yes, you might not be everybody's cup of tea. I would never expect myself to be everybody's cup of tea, and I know James and Marty will be the same. And even the late great Nigel Pearson, he wasn't everybody's cup of tea. But come and have a go if you don't like what we're doing, because you're more than welcome to do it. I wouldn't take any offense if somebody wanted to come and sit in my seat or go on that centre green and have a shot at it, because at the end of the day, we've got the cojones to get up and do it, and that's what it's all about,
And ultimately, I can't help thinking that the biggest problem here is simply the fact that there are people who are jealous of the likes of you being in the box, doing all the stuff that you do, best seat in the house, the Shouty brothers up there on the gantry, best view in the house, and they're getting heard by thousands and thousands of people worldwide, and it's just jealousy. That's all it is.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think a lot of it is, but not everybody can put themselves in that position and go and do that, And for me, it's a case of hats on. If I look at it, certainly locally, the DJ and presenting and singing population that we have in Berwick and around there, we all have so much respect for what each other does. We're all different. But we all have a lot of respect for what each other does, because we're all different in how we do it. And I would never knock Robert Pollock, Roger West, anybody like that, the guys that do it locally, Simon Davison, who does in King's Head, does karaoke. I would never ever knock anybody else, because we're all different. And that's what it's all about. And I suppose all the centre green presenters, announcers, commentators, we're all different. But we're just the guys that are daft enough to get up and do it. And that's it. We're the ones that are daft enough to put ourselves in the firing line. And people like Dick and Roy Clark and Craig Saul, and Hoggy and guys like that get up and do it. And I think we, as a group of presenters, announcers, etc., again, all have a mutual respect for one another, because we're all different. But at the end of the day, we get up and we do that, and we don't get paid for doing it. We do it for the love of it, to entertain people. Because if it wasn't for for people like us, then things wouldn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'm just thinking off the top of my head now. You probably in Berwick, you'll have heard of the group Night Talk and Colin Fogan.
Colin and I go back a long way. And Steve, I started doing karaoke for Stephen and working for Night Talk. That's when I started about 25 years ago. So, and I think I'm possibly doing a gig with Colin later in the year.
Yeah.
He's asked me to do some bits with him. So I'm going to be doing that. And we all have a mutual respect of one another and what we do, because we're all different, but we all do the same thing, and none of us knock each other for what we do. And it tends to be the armchair followers that knock us. So we do what we do because we enjoy it, and that's why we do it. So happy days.
I know. Well, next time you see Colin, tell him because he was a pupil of mine for a few years, and we. I remember one time we worked quite hard on getting Shack Attack Nightbirds sorted out.
Right.
I always like that. I always like that one, and he liked it as well. So anyway, well, I'm going to say cheerio, and hopefully when I'm down in Birmingham, I can report live either Wednesday night or early Thursday morning on a Bandits victory down at Birmingham. We wait to see if Jonas gets his visa sorted out. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
If not, we're stuck with, because Jordan Jenkins is not available Wednesday night because he's got a meeting for Oxford, hasn't he?
Yeah, he will have. Yes, damn it! I was hoping we were going to get him.
I know,
so
but
we'll have to wait and see who we get.
But then probably the bigger challenge would be, yes, we could. There's mention of Connor Coles, who guested for us at Leicester. That was very good, and again maybe one of the Coles brothers. But it's who do you get to replace Stone?
Maybe one of the Thompsons,
yeah.
Who
would you get to for instead of Nathan?
That's going to be the tricky one, I think. So that's down to Mr. Flint to have a look for that and work his magic and see if we can get something down at Perry Bar with a bit of luck. Yeah.
Well, I mean, certainly this change of riding order, I do like the fact that on a couple of the heats where we, it's bizarre. You look at some of the meetings we've had and we've lost, and yet we've won. Had more heat wins than the opposition. It's just in certain heats where we've gone to pieces, and having that strength at number 4 with Leon.
I think last night. Yeah, I like that. I like that change, and I think it made us stronger. I really think it made us stronger. I really did. So hopefully Flinty will leave him at 4. With a bit of luck, but we'll have to see who we get at reserve. Hopefully, Jonas's visa will be through with a bit of luck, but we just have to wait and see, So, but I think the problem one's going to be replacing Nathan and who's going to be available. So, but and the choice of guests for Birmingham as well, who they bring in, So we'll have to wait and see how strong they are. But I think we can get something there. There's no reason why not.
Yeah, I did the business at Oxford.
Yeah, exactly. There's no reason.
Chris Harris going back to Birmingham, where he was last year.
Leon's a former Brummie as well, of course.
Yeah. But yes, again, looking back to the Bandits of '89, of course, when we famously won at Poole, it was actually 1 and 4 that did the damage in the last heat.
It was Mr. Courtney,
the kid in Walsh,
the kid in Walsh,
and can you remember? I mean, Dave Blackburn, actually, I think at the end of that season, I don't think he quite had the same average. I think he was fractionally below Mark Courtney. I think Mark Courtney at the end of the season was in the top 10.
I don't know. I think Blackie was there or thereabouts.
Oh, yeah.
Very little between the two of them.
Absolutely,
Blackie and Mark. Yeah, there was very little between them.
But and Andy Campbell at number 5.
Yeah, I know, exactly. Yeah, Andy at number 5.
Scored sod all in the league meeting when we did the double over them at Poole, and then ran out in the second half and made 4 fantastic starts and won the second half. That one of those devil take the hindmost.
Couldn't make it up, could you? You could not make that up. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Shall we finish off with, once again, give the Shouty brothers last call on this?
Yeah, I think we should.
And let's rerun heat number 13. So I'm going to say cheerio. Once this one finishes, we'll call it a day. And so yeah, let's wrap it up with once again.
Good way to finish it off.
Good way to finish off. Here we go. And by the way, many thanks for joining me. I have not received any apologies whatsoever from the chat group to my message about, I am Eric Carmen all by myself.
The rotten buggers that they are.
Aren't they just? Here we go. Thanks again, Steve. And
no worries, Paul.
We'll catch you soon.
See you soon.
Revs going high. Star March away. Tapes rise. Who's made the best fist of it? Hans Anderson of gate 4 making an absolute ripper of a start. Lewis Kerr as well making a fantastic start. And Chris Harris at the back, but not for long as the Bomber Command comes charging through to get the better of his teammate. We're in for a treat here, James. Going straight for that dart line. Chris Harris finding gaps that just don't exist. Full commitment, and is he going to get the better of? He's going for 2 in one corner.
Unbelievable!
Oh my Lord above, Chris Harris, what are you doing to me?
Where did he find that from? He was caught up in all sorts of traffic there, and then he just seemed to find a gap that just wasn't there. And how many times have we said that this season? He got past Hans Anderson, he got past Louis Kerr, and he's going to set off into the sunset once again. Chris Harris, unbelievable!
Yeah, Chris Harris, full commitment, just absolutely class personified, streets ahead of everybody else in this one. The crowd on the grandstand get to their feet. Chris Harris just does not know when he's beaten, James.
He doesn't know when he's beat. I thought I jinxed him, but luckily he came through and proved me right. And
as I said,
absolutely phenomenal.
He's just making
Harris.
It boring when he makes the start, and he didn't make the start there. And it has to be said, Chris Harris entertaining the masses at Shieldfield tonight. Brilliant stuff from him. And really, as soon as he got past his teammate, you knew that Louis Kerr was in trouble. I didn't expect him to do two gladiators in one corner.
Oh, brilliant stuff from Chris Harris, and quite rightly, brilliant. What is brilliant to see a couple of Gladiators fans on their feet and showing their appreciation for a phenomenal race from Chris Harris.